In the next 5 minutes, we are going to provision a complete Azure environment end-to-end using bicep modules, and you will walk away able to rebuild it from memory. Bicep is the declarative domain-specific language that compiles down to Azure Resource Manager (ARM) templates. The problem with one giant main file is that it becomes unreadable and impossible to reuse. Modules fix that. We will design a clean module layout, write a real reusable module, compose them in a root file, parameterize per environment, validate with what if, and then deploy. Let's set the target architecture first. Here is the target. We are deploying a small but realistic web workload, an Azure App Service hosting an API, a Cosmos DB account for state, Key Vault for secrets, and application insights for telemetry. Every one of these becomes its own module so it can be developed, tested, and reused independently. The root template wires them together and passes outputs between them. For example, handing the Key Vault URI and the Cosmos connection details into the app service configuration. Keep each module single purpose. That is the rule of thumb that keeps this maintainable. Before writing any code, decide the structure. I keep a modules folder with one file per resource type, and a main.bicep at the root that does the orchestration. Each module owns its own parameters and outputs and never reaches outside itself. The root file owns environment concerns and dependency wiring. This separation matters because it lets you unit test a module against a throwaway resource group, and reuse the same Cosmos module across 3 different projects. Treat modules like functions. Clear inputs, clear outputs, no hidden global state. That discipline is what scales bicep across a team. Here is the Cosmos module. Notice the typed parameters with defaults, the location inherited from the resource group, and an explicit output so the root template can consume the resource later. Parameters with decorators like allowed and min length give you validation at compile time, before anything touches Azure. The output here exposes the document endpoint, which the app service module will need. A good module exposes only what callers actually need, nothing more. This file is now reusable across any deployment that needs Cosmos. Now the root file consumes those modules. Each module block declares a symbolic name, the path to the file, and the params it needs. Crucially, when one module references another's output, like the app service reading the Cosmos endpoint, Bicep automatically infers the dependency and orders the deployment for you. You almost never need explicit dependsOn. Pass the Key Vault URI and App Insights connection string the same way. The root file stays thin. It is wiring and environment values, not resource definitions. To promote across dev, test, and production, do not fork the templates. Instead, drive differences through parameter files, one bicepparam file per environment. The templates stay identical, only the values change, like SKU tier, capacity, and naming prefixes. A common pattern is a single environment string parameter that selects sizing through a map inside the template. This keeps your dev environment cheap and your production environment sized correctly from the same code path, which is exactly what you want for confident promotion. Never deploy blind. Run what if first. It shows exactly which resources will be created, modified, or deleted, and it catches surprises before they hit your subscription. Once that looks right, deploy at the resource group scope. Bicep deployments are incremental by default, meaning existing resources outside your template are left alone. To verify success, check the deployment status in the Azure portal or with the CLI, confirm outputs resolved, and hit your app service health endpoint. Pricing and resource API versions change often, so check the current Azure docs. To recap, Design a folder layout with one module per resource. Write modules like functions with typed inputs and explicit outputs. Keep main.bicep thin and let it wire dependencies through outputs. Drive environments with parameter files instead of forks, and always run what if before you deploy. The one concrete thing to do next. Take your largest existing bicep file and extract just one resource into its own module. Then reference it back. That single refactor teaches the entire pattern. Build it once cleanly and you will reuse it for years. If this helped, do me a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next video.